The course is boring, scoring is too high, delayed post coverage, and that's just the beginning. What's up, degenerates? It's the disc golf world. I'm Jefferson, alongside me, the one with all the holes in his game, Swiss Cheese, breaking down everything you need to know from the European Disc Golf Festival, which has had fans of all kinds spewing their opinions. The main topic surrounding, is this course major worthy? And from first glance, it wasn't looking too positive. There were even some claiming it was the worst tournament ever, which is flat out insane if you ask me. One of the course organizers shared their opinion as he went to social media to better explain why they did what they did. That being, for the spectators, as they are what makes a sport real in his eyes. There was around 4,500 fans watching in person, and the priority was both to make their time enjoyable, but also providing a course that challenges the top professionals. Some of you might be laughing at that last statement. As Silver explains, disc golf is stuck in its old ways of thinking. Who said that players shooting 15 down was bad? Earhart and Perkins, along with tons of fans, agreed they don't. I know it's a split issue, but to just blindly say we need lower scores because that's what's going to grow the game is ridiculous. Seriously, never once have I been mad because someone was birdieing too often. Not a single pro shot double digits every round. And 6th place was only at 38 under, so why are we pretending like everyone was shredding? Sorry the best disc golfers in the world decided to pop off for 1,100 rated rounds, but again, they are literally the best in the world. No matter what course it is, they're going to kill. Yes, scores may have been hot, but out of all the European tournaments so far, this course had the best scoring separation. And personally, I would much rather see near perfection than everyone struggling to hit 3-foot gaps in the middle of woods that have no room for the camera crew, and I haven't even got started on the spectators. What makes this event shine was how professional it was run and all the extra amenities that goes along with it, setting the bar high for events back at the States, although not everyone agrees.
This major is kind of like the last episode's comment section. No one really is going to care about it a couple weeks from now.
That stirred up the pot a bit. Joey Tamale comes in with a spicy take not only in the comment section, but takes it to the Crushed Pepper podcast, where I think he does a great job explaining why this course is such a big deal.
Yeah, for Worlds, they're planning to put a course in Kadriorg, the park, which is equivalent to playing disc golf in Washington, D.C. It's like the presidential park.
Right,
It looks so beautiful.
It'd be like the La Louvaliac is like basically the Song Festival grounds, and that is equivalent to like the Lincoln Memorial and its surrounding area.
I always thought disc golf has such an advantage being accessible in any terrain. Why would we not lean into setting up temporary courses in cool places all over the world? That has a way better chance of catching a potential new fan's eye, not taking a 7 at Northwoods Black. Brody saw that comment, and I'm sure there will be a rant over on Tour Life this week, but I think it's important to add some context to the previous clip. He was referring to next week being the World Championships and that overshadowing the festival. To be fair, Worlds makes everyone forget about all the majors, except USDGC, but only because that event has done such a good job at establishing itself as important. AJ Carey even saying that it's still the best run event, putting this past weekend in the 3 spot, mentioning that most pros would probably agree with him too. How do you guys feel? Was the course too easy, or were you just as glued to the TV as I was all weekend long? Let us know in the comments. That is if you were able to watch it. For those still anti-live, you're going to have to wait a bit longer until you can enjoy the post coverage. Funny how the majors are supposed to be the most important, yet far less fans are going to watch it. The organizers of the event talk about how these tournaments need to be near big cities with good infrastructure to actually promote the sport. But why not let the coverage be free so it can reach even more people? Don't give me some bullshit excuse like that'll cost too much money. How does protocol get broken to award the country of Estonia events through 2029, yet there was no negotiation about them paying a fee to stream the event for free? At least put up like the first 3 days on YouTube for free and the final behind a paywall. That might have people invested enough to actually purchase DGN. But no, it's worse. They took away the typical free day, so as of right now, there is no way of watching coverage besides highlights. Talk about not knowing the demographic. Disc golfers are some of the most stubborn people alive, and the hill lots of them have chosen to die on is not paying for coverage. How about we find creative ways to trick these people into falling in love with the product instead of squeezing the last pennies from the already dedicated fan base? Although, I did really like that DGPT clipped a couple of good rounds and put them up on their own YouTube. If they do more stuff like this, then I feel better about putting coverage behind some sort of paywall. But there has to be a substitute that stays free. And honestly, this could be a good move because then you can make coverage as long as you want, since it gives more bang for your buck with people purchasing it. The casual fans want something quick just to stay up to date, but the diehards will watch a 10-hour uncut video of Calvin cleaning his rocks. Just give them more. This then forces the DGPT to make shorter, easier to consume content that has a way better chance to be viewed by a random viewer by giving more context on what's actually happening so they can, follow along. That's how you create new fans, and even if that barely works, it makes the tour be more creative instead of mashing up different compilations or putting the real cool stuff behind a paywall. If you want more rambling, make sure to subscribe because I'm done for now, but new episodes of the Disc Golf World podcast come out every Tuesday, so subscribe, you won't miss out on that. Now, Swiss, please spoil the people with the FPO recap.
It was a Latvian Cynthia Geisberga from the first card of the day that scored an 8-under round to not only lead after day 1 by 2 strokes, but became the lowest rated player to ever lead a major. Day 2 saw Kristen begin to regain some confidence as her putts began to fall. She ended the round over 60% from C1X. That had Kristen climb right back into this, 18 spots, a stroke behind Missy, and that was good enough to be tied for second place with Cadence Burge, Evelina Salonen, Katie Tati, and Silva Saarinen. Ella Hansen went on a heater early on day 3 that gave her the hot round of the major, and sprung her all the way to lead card behind a 9-under. Though she, like everyone else, would be chasing Kristen, who looked vintage and better than the day prior. She would only miss 2 circles edge putts on the round and went into the final with a 3-stroke lead. That was ahead of Silva, as the fireworks between these two continued into this major. Fireworks that always seem to contain highlights and lowlights between the two. Kristen would extend her lead despite her putting yips making a return like helicopters back in disc golf evidently. And about as obvious as she missed a 13-footer on the first hole. Still would go into the back half with a 5-stroke lead after a bogey by Silva on 9. Then, 11 happened. Airmailing from 13 feet on her way to a 3-putt for a double bogey, resulting in a 3-stroke swing, and Kristen's confidence visibly rocked from there. So much so that she laid up from circle's edge the very next hole. So shaken, in fact, that we saw her putting stance change in the middle of the round, as the pressure of the moment and her trust in her putt led to 4 more C1 missed putts. Another from 13 as she missed 4 times from that distance in the round alone. Part of 9 total of the missed C1 putts on the round, 6 coming in the back half alone. And as bad as all that was, 11 was worse. And then 17 happened and everything completely came off the tracks. But let's give some of the credit to Silva here, who didn't miss a putt on her clean back half that applied the needed pressure on Lot. Her birdie on 17 would give her the lead going into 18. Kristen, who had just lost a 7-stroke lead on the back half of PCS earlier this year, just lost a 5-stroke in her home nation for its first major ever. But the complete collapse was still yet to come as it became a Shakespearean tragedy from there, with yet another 13-foot airball on her cleanup par look. Followed by what I can only call a defeated follow-up putt for another miss and second 3-putt from the putting green, leaving Kristen and those watching live completely stunned. And for the ones who didn't want to pay for pro, had them looking at their PDGA live in complete disarray. Silva would end up celebrating with a champagne shower and a Formula 1 stage, which in classic disc golf fashion still needed a little bit of ironing out of the wrinkles, but the best we have seen on the season. Still, by far, not even close. As it was awkward for everyone to have to stare at Kristen while Nate was giving an interview to Silva on top of the podium. Heading into Worlds, I'm not too sure there's a favorite going in. We got time and a flight to hit first, so let's get over to Jefferson to recap the MPO that had a major worthy, memorable ending in itself.
Round 1 on the MPO side had fans worried that Isaac Robinson was going to walk in another major after finding himself tied for the lead. That fear grew even stronger as the lead expanded to 3 after he does this at the end of round 2.
Coming in.
Got it! Isaac Robinson hits the ace on 18!
Such a sick way for Isaac to get his first ever 1100 rated round. Almost made everyone completely forget that Calvin also shot 15 under, except without an ace, jumping himself up 12 spots into 3rd. Gannonburg put together a solid 14 down, moving up 11 places onto the lead card where he didn't slow down. birdieing the first 7 holes of round 3 to complete back-to-back 14 unders that had him sitting tied for the lead heading into Championship Sunday. I really can't fathom how any disc golf fan can look at that card and say it was boring. Guys, I'm being super genuine with what I'm about to say. This is not to be disrespectful at all, but maybe Brody thinks it's boring because he's not a true fan. Hear me out. He came to the sport and basically went straight to pro status. He never thought of disc golfers anything other than peers. It only took a couple of months before he was a business partner with Macbeth. So when he sees the leaderboard, he analyzes it from the gameplay perspective. When I see it, it's purely emotion. There's the kid I've been watching grind since he was 14 years old. Next, it's the recent up-and-comer who's looking to pass Hall of Famers Nate Doss and Will Schustrick for all-time majors, and he's like 24. Then you got the guy Swiss Cheese has been telling me is next up since 2018, who I've also watched be so close every single time in his career. And finally, it's the guy who made me fall in love with the game and that classic McBee striking distance that's got me feeling nostalgic. So no, I don't feel bored, not even a little, because this lead card needed years to build into what it is, and I get to watch 18 holes of amazing disc golf with 4 legends battling it out. Who cares if they shoot 19 down? Dreams of that would die soon for Calvin and Isaac after a par on hole 2. Gannon and Paul would take a stroke early. It would be Bird or ruin perfection next on hole 4, missing a C1X putt, allowing Isaac to separate again. Macbeth couldn't connect from C2 on hole 5, taking his first par, along with Burr after missing his second circle 1 putt in 2 holes, giving up another stroke to Robinson. However, things would begin to turn on hole 7. After watching the others land their stock forehand approaches safe on the island green, Isaac went high backhand that clipped to Brent short, OB. Troubles didn't stop there. His upshot leaked towards the edge of C1, and he would go on to miss that, walking away with the double bogey. After that miss, Heimberg and Burr would convert the 3-stroke swing. Calvin now found himself in a tie up top. He stepped up to hole 9, and to no one's surprise was inside the circle, staring down another birdie. Gannon, now to follow, chucked his drive out to the right, hanging over the OB the entire way, but couldn't curl up in time. A huge mistake, since he will have to throw only 30 feet in front of the tee. Stopped the bleeding with a single bogey, but the damage had already been done with the Calvin birdie, giving himself a 2-stroke lead with the back 9 left to play. Started off strong, getting the birdie on hole 10, but so does everyone else. Burr wasn't going away easy. A missed approach from Calvin opened the door for Gannon on hole 11. Staring down the birdie, he connected, now 1 back with 7 to go. Placed his drive in perfect position to go up and over with the big hyzer, spiking down right into the bullseye for birdie. Calvin goes with a low skit forehand that manages to land 20 feet away for a guaranteed birdie. The same can be said about both of their drives in hole 13. It really should be illegal the way Burr makes a 500-foot hyzer look like nothing, but Heimberg's right there to say, somebody's closer. Something I bet he said in his head. Hole 14, shit got real, as a soft approach from Gannon gave him a look to become co-leader. Of course he hits it. Dude's got ice in his veins. I'll say what I told Swiss. I think par 4s and 5s might be hindering the sport, at least in the open. Feels like it always turns into throw far hyzer approach and then we shove a bunch of OB everywhere that fans can barely see. Whatever. Star frame. Hole 16, Calvin hits the gap and finds his way into the bullseye for the 6th time of the round. You know what? Screw it. I'm back to these guys just make everything look too damn easy. Not sure why they decided not to clip this, but Gannon messed up and got a par, giving Calvin the lead again with 2 holes left. Shout out that paywall, but we're not delaying our coverage. Calvin on the box of hole 17 throws it a tad low, but skips its way up to a putt inside the circle. Gannon loved the drive out of his hand, but to his disbelief, had a long look at the birdie. Already being down 1, this putt is crucial. This is make or break time. Calvin hasn't missed inside C1X all day. He's essentially at tap-in range. Burr knows he needs to make it. Even after that reaction, you can tell that was his last hope because Calvin is just gonna tell, what? Okay. Calvin fans across the world had their buttholes clenched in fear. What they've come to know too well is about to happen. Hole 18, 1 hole left to play, 1-stroke lead. All the pressure on Calvin's head. Just had 1 more tee shot to go. He's 2 for 3 on birdies so far this weekend, and now he has a chance to seal it from 42 feet. He gave the basket 19 salutes, tossed it up in the air, and into the chains it went. Calvin Heimberg is finally a major champion. This is by far the most emotion we've ever seen from him. And damn it, that was electric. Only person more excited for him might have been Isaac, who you can see jumping for joy, and Gannon maybe a little bit heartbroken. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I'll be forgetting that one anytime soon. And that's everything you need to know from the European Disc Golf Festival. If you want to hear us talk about it even more, drop us a subscribe so you don't miss out on tomorrow's episode of The Spit Out. Shout out to all the disgenerate for making it this far. You guys are seriously the best. The next recap in 2 weeks will be in Finland. See you guys there.